What if I told you that just 11 minutes today could rewrite the next 365 days of your life? Not next week, not next year, right now. Because the life you've been waiting for doesn't need more time. It needs a decision. And it starts with the next 660 seconds. Let me ask you something bold. What if I told you that 11 minutes, just 660 seconds, could change everything about the way you show up for the next 365 days? That in less time than it takes to scroll through a few videos or complain about your day, you could take back your time, your focus, your life, and make 2025 the year that finally lives up to the promise you've been whispering to yourself every night before sleep. You've said it before, this year will be different. This time I'll be consistent. This time I won't quit. And yet, here you are again, same frustrations, same patterns. Same self-doubt quietly wrapping its arms around your potential and keeping you exactly where you've always been, safe but unsatisfied, comfortable but not fulfilled, busy but going nowhere. I don't need an hour. I don't need a seminar. I just need 11 minutes of your full attention. Here's the truth. You don't lack motivation. Motivation is everywhere. It's the spark. But you've had sparks before and watched them die in the wind of excuses. What you lack is clarity. You lack why. And when you don't know your why, every little obstacle becomes a reason to stop. You've been trying to set goals without setting standards, trying to build habits without building identity, trying to chase success without asking yourself, why does it matter? Who am I doing this for? That ends now, because 2025 doesn't start on January 1st. It starts the moment you decide who you're going to be. You want to make this your best year? Then start thinking like the version of yourself who already made it. Stop asking, what do I need to do today? And start asking, who do I need to become? When you're clear on who, the how starts to show up. You've got 5 months left in 2024. That's not a curse, that's a gift, that's the runway. But here's the key, don't focus on doing everything. Focus on doing one thing better than ever before. Whether it's building discipline, speaking up for yourself, taking care of your body, or finally committing to that idea you've been sitting on, choose one thing and go deep. Because mastery in one area creates momentum in every area. Want to be unstoppable? Make your actions louder than your doubts. Want to be respected? Start showing up on time for your own dreams. Want to be trusted? Start keeping promises to yourself first. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for life to slow down or get easier. You don't need easier. Clarity is the starting line of transformation. Without it, you're running a race without a finish line, burning energy with no direction, mistaking movement for progress. And that's the mistake most people make. They confuse being busy with being effective. They think working harder will change everything, when in reality, it's about working smarter. And that begins with knowing exactly what you're working toward. When your vision is unclear, you'll say yes to things that drain you, commit to paths that don't serve you, and follow the noise instead of your own internal compass. But clarity cuts through all of that. Clarity turns down the volume of distractions and turns up the power of focus. So many people live on autopilot. They wake up, check their phones, chase to-do lists, handle problems as they come, and collapse into bed wondering why they feel stuck. They're not lazy, they're just not aligned. You can have all the drive in the world, but if you're aiming in the wrong direction, you'll never reach where you actually want to go. The first step isn't motivation. It's not discipline. It's not even setting goals. It's clarity. What do you truly want? Not what others expect from you. Not what you think you should do. But what you feel pulled toward with every part of your soul. That question alone has the power to shift your life. When you get crystal clear about your direction, you stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You don't ask, what should I do today? You ask, what brings me closer to who I want to become? And suddenly, the answers start to show up. Suddenly, you know what to say no to. You know which habits align with your mission and which ones are slowing you down. You know when to walk away, when to commit, when to rest, and when to run full speed. That level of clarity doesn't just change your decisions. It changes your energy. It gives you a quiet confidence that silences self-doubt and replaces confusion with conviction. Clarity turns your goals into targets. It's the difference between saying, I want to get in shape, and saying I'm going to lose 15 pounds in the next 90 days by following a daily workout plan and eating clean. One is vague and easily forgotten. The other is specific, measurable, and motivating, and this principle applies to every part of life: relationships, careers, finances, health, personal growth. Every area gets sharper when you define the outcome you desire and why it matters to you. Clarity gives you control. It stops you from drifting. It makes you dangerous to your doubts, because you now know exactly what you're fighting for. When you don't have clarity, you live in reaction. You respond to everyone else's agenda. You become a slave to your environment, your emotions, and your circumstances. But when you gain clarity, you reclaim the driver's seat. You build your days around your dreams, not around distractions. You stop asking for permission and start moving with intention. Even when things get hard, and they will, you don't fall apart, because you have a reason. You have a *Y* that anchors you in the storm and reminds you of who you said you were becoming. The truth is, clarity requires courage. It means you have to stop lying to yourself about what you want. It means you have to face the discomfort of honesty and let go of the illusion that doing a little bit of everything will eventually lead you somewhere meaningful. It won't. You need to get specific. You need to cut out the noise and stop hiding behind vague wishes. Decide what you want, define it, write it down, speak it out loud, make it real, because once you do, your brain goes to work on bringing it to life. Your focus sharpens, your standards rise, your time becomes sacred, and your life starts to organize itself around a vision that actually excites you. Clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from decision. You don't wait for it, you create it. You sit with yourself without distractions and you listen. You listen to the pull inside you that already knows the next step, and you trust it, because deep down, you already know what you need to do. The problem isn't that you don't know. The problem is that you haven't slowed down long enough to admit it, to name it, to own it. Once you do, once you name what matters most, everything else begins to shift. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a sense of purpose that can't be faked. You become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because your path becomes clearer. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the strength of your identity. This is the invisible truth that most people miss. It's why so many set big goals at the beginning of the year, full of excitement, energy, and ambition, only to watch that fire die a few weeks later. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is identity misalignment, because deep down, people still believe they are the same person they were last year. They try to change their behavior without first changing the story they tell themselves. But your actions will always reflect what you believe about who you are. And if your identity hasn't evolved, your outcomes never will. The truth is, every decision you make is filtered through the lens of who you think you are. If you believe you're someone who always quits when it gets hard, you will. If you believe you're disorganized, you'll keep proving that to yourself every day. If you believe you're not worthy of success, you'll sabotage it even when it's within reach. Your identity is the thermostat for your life. It controls the climate. You might spike for a little while with temporary effort, but you'll always fall back to the level you've set internally. And that's where the work really begins, not in trying harder, but in becoming someone new. Change becomes real when it's tied to identity. It's the difference between saying, "I'm trying to quit smoking," and saying, "I'm not a smoker." The first is effort-based, the second is identity-based. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. Because when your identity shifts, your habits follow. When you start believing you're disciplined, you start waking up earlier. When you believe you're a healthy person, you eat differently. When you believe you're a leader, you speak and act like one. That belief becomes the foundation, and the stronger it is, the more naturally your actions begin to reflect it. Most people think identity is something they're born with, something fixed. But it's not. Identity is a choice. It's something you build brick by brick, decision by decision. Every time you show up for yourself when it's uncomfortable, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you do the hard thing, even when no one is watching, you reinforce that new standard. Identity isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. The more you act in alignment with the identity you desire, the more that identity becomes real. Think about who you are when no one is watching. That's your true identity, Not what you post, not what you tell others, but the standard you hold in silence. Do you keep your word when no one else will know? Do you push through when quitting would be easier? Do you do the right thing even when it's not rewarding in the moment? That's what defines you, because those moments aren't just tests. They're builders. Builders of self-trust, builders of character, builders of a new version of you who doesn't just wish for results, but lives in alignment with the habits that make those results inevitable. Your identity can't just be rooted in what you've done. It has to be rooted in who you're becoming. Because if you keep measuring yourself by your past, you'll stay trapped in cycles that don't match your future. You have to detach from the old version of yourself. The one who procrastinated, the one who gave up, the one who settled. That version doesn't get to lead anymore. It's time for a new identity to take the wheel. One rooted in discipline. One built on courage. One defined by vision. And that starts the moment you decide that you are no longer available for the excuses and limitations that used to define you. When you shift your identity, people will notice. Your language changes, your energy changes, the way you respond to setbacks changes. You stop seeking validation because you already know who you are. And with that certainty comes freedom. The freedom to take risks, to speak boldly, to pursue goals without the constant fear of failure. Because failure no longer threatens your worth. It simply becomes feedback. That's the power of a strong identity. It doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you unshakable. You don't have to wait until you've achieved everything to see yourself differently. You have to start seeing yourself differently now, before the evidence shows up. Because the evidence comes after the belief, not before. Believe you are focused, and you'll start acting that way. Believe you are resilient, and your actions will prove it. Believe you are capable, and your behavior will rise to meet that belief. Identity creates behavior, not the other way around. And once you understand that, you stop chasing short-term fixes and start building the kind of inner foundation that transforms everything around you. You don't get results from good intentions. You get results from consistent action. The world is filled with people who want more, dream bigger, talk louder, but act less. They plan for a perfect moment. They wait for a clear sky, they stall for the right motivation, but success doesn't come to those who wait for inspiration. It comes to those who take action even when they don't feel ready. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't a lack of desire, it's a lack of execution. You can think, journal, and visualize all day long, but until you move, nothing changes. People overestimate the power of motivation and underestimate the power of motion. Motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes. One day it's there, the next day it's gone, but action is a decision. It's something you control. And here's the paradox. The more you act, the more motivated you feel. Action creates momentum, and momentum builds belief. Even the smallest step forward is more valuable than the biggest dream left in your head. You don't need massive leaps. You need forward movement. You need to show up every day, whether you feel like it or not, and do the thing that aligns with your vision. Waiting for the perfect plan is the perfect excuse. You think you're being strategic, but really, you're just stalling. You don't need more information. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need to reorganize your schedule for the 100th time. What you need is to do the thing. You need to make the call, write the page, go to the gym, launch the idea, start, even if it's messy, even if it's small, because real progress is built in the act of doing. Every great success story starts not with certainty, but with courage. Courage to take the first imperfect step. You can plan all you want, but life won't unfold according to your blueprint. Things will get messy. Unexpected challenges will show up. Your schedule will be disrupted, and when it does, only action will save you. Action turns overwhelm into clarity. It replaces anxiety with purpose. You stop asking, what if, and start living in what now. That shift in mindset is what separates people who get things done from those who keep wondering why nothing's changing. Because while you're thinking about it, someone else is doing it. While you're preparing, someone else is progressing. The edge goes to the person who moves. People often think that taking action means they have to do something big, bold, and life-changing, but that's a myth. The most powerful actions are often the smallest, repeated daily. 10 minutes of focused effort every morning, one uncomfortable conversation, one meal choice, one workout, one habit change over time. These small actions stack up and compound into massive results. But they require consistency. They require a commitment to show up, even on the hard days, even on the boring days, even on the days when your emotions tell you to sit it out. That's when you grow. Action builds identity. Every time you act, you reinforce the story you tell yourself about who you are. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who doesn't wait, someone who gets it done. That identity shift is powerful. It becomes a self-fulfilling loop. The more you act, the more you believe in yourself. The more you believe, the more you act. And soon, you're no longer just thinking about being great. You're becoming it, one decision at a time. The outside world may not see it right away, but you will. You'll feel it in your energy, in your self-talk, in the quiet confidence that starts to build inside you. Every excuse you make robs you of your power. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you give your dreams one more day to wait. And dreams that wait too long eventually turn into regrets. But every time you take action, you chip away at the resistance. You teach your mind that discomfort is not a threat. That fear is not a wall. It's just a signal. And when you move through it, you get stronger. You get sharper. You become the kind of person who doesn't just wish, they work. And through that work, everything changes. Because consistent action is the bridge between ideas and achievement, between goals and greatness, between who you were and who you're meant to be. Don't try to master everything at once. That's one of the fastest ways to burn out, feel overwhelmed, and end up back at zero. In a world that praises multitasking, that glorifies hustle culture and tells you to do more, be more, achieve more all at once, the real strength lies in doing less but doing it better than anyone else . You don't need to chase every opportunity. You need to identify the one thing that truly matters right now, the one area of your life that, if improved, would create a ripple effect across everything else. That one thing is your foundation, and mastery over it becomes your launching pad. When you scatter your energy across 10 different areas, you make a little progress in each, but never enough to feel real transformation. You get stuck in a loop of starting and stopping. You dip your toes in different pools, but never dive deep enough to experience the breakthrough that comes with mastery. But when you choose to go all in on one focus, whether it's your health, your discipline, your business, your mindset, you begin to build unstoppable momentum that spills into the other areas of your life and lifts them without forcing it. Think of mastery like compounding interest. The more time, energy, and repetition you invest in one skill or area, the greater the return over time. Every day you dedicate yourself to this one pursuit, you stack layers of strength, awareness, and ability. You begin to see what others miss, to think in ways others don't, and to execute with precision while others are still figuring things out. People mistake this level of performance for talent or genius, but it's not. It's focus, it's commitment, it's the decision to become world-class at something instead of average at everything. There's power in simplicity, power in waking up every day knowing exactly what you're building. Power in cutting through the noise and choosing to be intentional with your time. You stop waking up overwhelmed by your to-do list because you know what your mission is. You have a filter. Does this action move me closer to mastery in this area or not? If yes, you do it with everything you have. If no, you let it go. That level of clarity gives you power most people never tap into. It frees up your mental bandwidth. It focuses your emotional energy. It makes your day feel purposeful instead of chaotic. Mastery teaches you patience because it doesn't happen overnight. There are no shortcuts, no hacks. It's a long game, a process of learning, failing, adjusting, and rising again. But that's where the growth lives. That's where confidence is born, not from instant results, but from showing up every single day with intention, even when progress is slow, even when no one's watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because something is happening. Every rep counts. Every hour builds muscle. Every setback becomes part of your foundation. And that foundation becomes the unshakable core you carry into everything you do. The world is noisy. It tries to pull you in 100 directions. It tries to convince you that you need to have it all figured out all at once. That you need to be perfect in every category of life at the same time. But that mindset is what leads to burnout, disappointment, and inconsistency. The real winners, the people who create extraordinary lives. They don't try to do it all. They pick a lane. They become the best in that lane. Then they leverage that mastery to elevate the rest of their life, Focus becomes their competitive edge, and mastery becomes their identity. When you commit to mastering one thing, you develop traits that stay with you forever. You build discipline because mastery demands it. You build resilience because mastery tests it. You build humility because mastery shows you how far you have to go. And most importantly, you build trust in yourself, because every day you choose to go deep rather than wide. You reinforce the truth that you're not just interested in change, you're committed to it. That kind of focus is rare, and anything rare holds power. So many people are addicted to newness. They want new strategies, new routines, new goals every week. But what they really need is depth, not novelty. They need to stay, to stick, to sharpen the same sword until it cuts through everything that once held them back. That's how transformation happens. Slowly, intentionally, through consistent application in one direction. The world won't always understand it. People may question your simplicity, your focus, your obsession, but they'll understand soon enough, when your results speak louder than their opinions, when you've mastered the thing that everyone else only dabbled in. When your foundation is so strong nothing can shake it, that's when everything changes. The first 11 minutes of your day are not just a routine. They are a declaration. They are a signal to your brain, your emotions, your subconscious, and the world about how seriously you take your life, your time, and your mission. Most people don't realize how powerful those first moments are. They wake up and immediately hand over their energy to distractions. They reach for their phones, scroll through notifications, check messages, and within seconds, they've placed themselves in a reactive state. A state where their attention belongs to everyone but themselves. And by the time they step into their day, their focus is scattered, their motivation is gone, and their momentum never had a chance to build. But when you claim those 11 minutes with purpose, something radical begins to happen. Your mind sharpens, your focus intensifies, your direction becomes clear. You are no longer waking up to survive the day. You are waking up to own it. Because those 11 minutes are your chance to reconnect with your vision, to remind yourself who you are, what you're building, and why it matters. You're not checking the weather, you're checking your mindset. You're not reacting to the world, you're preparing to shape it. You become proactive, centered, intentional. And that changes everything. You don't need an elaborate routine. You don't need an expensive journal or a perfect meditation space. What you need is commitment. You need to look at those 11 minutes as sacred, as non-negotiable, because how you begin determines how you continue. If you start from stillness, you move with purpose. If you start from clarity, you carry it throughout the chaos. But if you begin with distraction, the day will feel like a blur of tasks and interruptions. And by the time the sun sets, you'll wonder where your time went. And more importantly, where your energy went. The human brain is most receptive in the morning. It's not yet filled with the noise and complexity of the day. That window is your opportunity to influence your state of being. You can prime yourself for courage, for focus, for gratitude, for growth. You can speak life into your goals. You can visualize the version of yourself who shows up with discipline and drive. You can set your mind to operate from possibility instead of pressure. That's what those 11 minutes are for, not to be productive, but to get aligned with your purpose. Once that's locked in, productivity becomes a byproduct. It's easy to underestimate small actions, to think, what difference could 11 minutes possibly make? But transformation is rarely the result of dramatic overhauls. It's the result of small, consistent, intentional moments that stack up over time. You don't need an hour to change your life. You need 11 minutes of honesty, 11 minutes of focus, 11 minutes of commitment to your future self. That's where the compound effect starts. That's where internal alignment is built. When your first moments are yours, your entire day feels like it belongs to you. Not to your inbox, your obligations, or your distractions. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about following a rigid morning ritual. It's about being intentional. Some days, your 11 minutes might be spent journaling your goals. Other days, it might be 5 minutes of silence and 6 minutes of reading something that challenges your thinking. It could be breathwork, gratitude, affirmations, planning, anything that centers your energy around who you want to become and what you need to embody to live that out today. It's about beginning with presence so you don't spend the rest of the day reacting to the world around you. What makes those first minutes powerful is not the activity, but the awareness, the deliberate pause before the storm, that sacred space where you remind yourself that your life is not random, that you have control over your time, that you're not here to drift, you're here to create. And every day you do that, even for just 11 minutes, you chip away at the version of you that was once driven by impulse and emotion. You step into the identity of a person who leads themselves, who doesn't just talk about goals but lives from alignment. And when that alignment becomes a habit, momentum becomes your new normal. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't always the most talented, the most connected, or the most privileged. They're the ones who do the invisible work, the quiet disciplines, the early choices, the mental rehearsals that no one sees. They're the ones who understand that your mindset is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness, and they choose to sharpen it daily. They choose to start their day on their own terms, not just because it feels good, but because it sets the tone for everything else. Because when you control your morning, you stop letting the world dictate your worth, your pace, and your direction. You reclaim your role as the architect of your life, 1 minute at a time. 2025 won't be different unless you are. You can change your calendar, buy a new planner, or set goals for the new year, but unless you change, nothing else will. It's not the dates that make a year powerful. It's the decisions. The moments of truth when you finally draw a line in the sand and say, no more. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more hiding behind fear or distraction. You don't need a new year. You need a new level of decision. Because every meaningful change in life begins with one bold, defining choice. The choice to take ownership of your future without conditions. So many people wait for the right time to change. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of motivation. But time doesn't bring transformation, decision does. One honest decision can be more powerful than years of vague intentions. One moment of clarity, one shift in mindset, one act of full body commitment to your future can rewrite the next chapter of your life. But you have to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop dipping your toes in the water. Stop playing it safe. Until your decision becomes final, your commitment will always be optional. There's something deeply powerful about deciding, not hoping, not trying. Deciding. When you decide that you're done tolerating certain habits, environments, or thought patterns, your life starts to realign. Doors begin to open, your standards rise. You stop entertaining the same distractions because they no longer fit the person you've committed to becoming. That's the power of decision. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes what you allow, what you accept, and what you pursue. It shifts your identity from someone who wishes for more to someone who demands it from themselves. Real decisions don't leave space for excuses. They remove the back door. They eliminate the fallback plan. You burn the boats. You stop saying things like I'll try, or we'll see, or maybe someday. You replace those with I will, I must, it's happening. That energy, firm, grounded, non-negotiable, becomes your foundation. It carries you through the days when you don't feel like showing up. It silences the voices of doubt and keeps your focus locked on your outcome. When you make a decision at that level, your actions begin to reflect that intensity. You no longer wait for perfect conditions. You create them through consistency. Everything in your life right now is a reflection of past decisions. The job you have, the habits you follow, the relationships you're in, the standards you live by. And if you want your life to look different a year from now, it won't come from blaming your past. It will come from deciding right now to write a new one. A decision backed by action, not just emotion. A decision that says, I'm done being casual about my life. Because when you get serious, the world takes you seriously. Opportunities find people who move like they're ready, not just people who talk like they are. The truth is, we are always one decision away from a new season. One bold, uncomfortable, high-standard decision away from changing the entire trajectory of our future. But the longer you delay, the heavier the cost. Indecision is not neutral, it's expensive. It drains your energy, your confidence, your momentum. It keeps you in limbo, spinning in circles, wondering why nothing ever changes. You can't be half in and expect full results. At some point, you have to go all in, not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because you are. Because the moment you decide to stop being available for anything less than what you know you're capable of, your life starts to elevate. Making a decision means becoming unavailable to your old excuses. It means you stop being at war with yourself every morning. You stop asking if today will be different and instead declare that it will. You stop flirting with your goals and finally commit to them like your future depends on it, because it does. And when that level of decision kicks in, you start showing up differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with conviction, people notice, and more importantly, you notice. You see yourself in a new light, not as someone who's trying to become, but as someone who already is. Change is not a matter of time, it's a matter of decision. The people who create massive shifts in their lives are not waiting for the stars to align. They decide in pain, in fear, in uncertainty, and they act anyway because they know that waiting is a trap. That comfort is a cage. That indecision is a thief of progress. And they refuse to let another month, another year, another opportunity pass them by while they're still negotiating with their dreams. Decision is the spark that ignites the fire, and once that fire is lit, nothing can extinguish it, not failure, not fear, not fatigue, because the decision was made and that decision became identity,